give us focus that our neighborhoods would be more humane and livable by reducing crime and preventing violence on a major scale. Give us hope by performing those things in council that will promote stronger families. Give us hope that we can develop curriculum that will inspire and convert the next generation to holiness. Help us to find a way to support underprivileged people of every race and ethnicity around the world by an increased missions department and to generate revenue and resources to make it possible that we would stand on the world stage with real power and real emphasis.
I'm a lifelong member in the Church of God in Christ. Our tenure with the Church of God in Christ started back in 1912, actually. And in fact, before that, when my grandfather's sister, Mother Nancy Gamble, who obviously became a historic figure in that she is one of the first women, along with Mother Lizzie Robinson, to serve under Bishop Charles Harrison Mason, of course, the founder of the Church of God in Christ. My grand aunt received the news of salvation, and she told her brother, which is my grandfather, Lewis Hall, about Bishop Mason and the sanctified life. And on the way out, she told him, if you ever see Brother Mason and you're going through something, you do exactly what he tells you to do. Now, before that, nobody else was a member or faithful to the following of Bishop Mason's ministries but her. He got into Texas and he got in very much great trouble. He was about destitute. Who comes down the railroad but Bishop Charles Harrison Mason? Bishop Mason, Brother Mason. He remembered what his sister, Mother Gamble, told him. Whatever Bishop Mason says to do, you do it. And he told Bishop Mason about his plight. 16-year-old boy, near raggedy and hungry. Bishop Mason said, son, get saved. And that's what he did.
David Allen Hall's journey in the Church of God in Christ began early. Ordained as an elder in 1974 under Bishop William O. Blakely of the historic Indiana First Jurisdiction, Hall's religious fervor was undoubtedly influenced by his parents, Elder Cleophas Hall Sr., affectionately known as Mr. Bible, and Mother Estella Allen Hall.
We can look upon those superstar preachers who come into our homes via television and mass communication as they embrace our members and their money, resources, and time. And they do a great job of getting our members' attention. But let me remind you something, members, that we are the ones who visit the hospitals. We are the ones who go to the jail cells. We are the ones who perform the funerals. We are the ones who perform the weddings. We are the ones that get children off of drugs.
I lost my brother Thomas, who was a genius of a kid, had a full scholarship to college, and sadly he passed his first year in college. And that passing turned my life around, because my father had always told me I was going to be the first lawyer, hall lawyer in the family. And I went to college geared up to be a lawyer. But when I lost my brother, it turned my life around. And I told my father, you may want me to be a lawyer, but God's calling me to the ministry. And he told me, he said, well, I want you to be a lawyer, but if you're not going to be a lawyer, then I want you to terminate in your degrees. Which means, and I understood that, get a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate. Legitimately, passing all board certifications. And that's what I did, because he wasn't going to have it any other way. And that took the pressure off of me from being a lawyer. But in a sense, the skill set that I bring through that has brought me this far.
Hall's academic achievements are numerous and distinguished. He earned his Bachelor of Arts from Butler University in Indianapolis, Indiana in 1974. He pursued theological studies at the Interdenominational Theological Center in Atlanta, Georgia, where he graduated with a Master of Divinity from Mason Theological Seminary in 1978. His quest for knowledge led him to McCormick Theological Seminary in Chicago, where he achieved a Doctor of Ministry degree in 1987. His studies took him to Israel in 1985, where he engaged deeply with the complexities of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a journey that included living with affected families and meeting respected Jewish and Muslim clergy. Paul married Gloria J. Harvey in 1974, and they shared 33 years of companionship until her passing in 2004. He is the proud father of 2 sons, Elder David Allen Hall Jr. and Elder Thomas Evan Hall, and a grandfather to 4, David III, Aiden, Thomas Jr., and Gloria Denise. In 2006, Hall married Lady Mary Portis Hall, marking a new chapter in his personal and spiritual journey. He served as the state Sunday school superintendent for the Eastern New York jurisdiction from 1978 to 1981 under Bishop O.M. Kelly and was an integral member of the historic First Church of God in Christ in Brooklyn. From 1981 to 1989, he worked as the publishing board representative under Bishop J.O. Patterson, playing a vital role in managing processes and conducting Sunday school development seminars nationwide. Nationally recognized for his leadership, Hall has held prominent roles such as chairman of the C.H. Mason Theological Seminary Trustee Board since 2007, CEO of the Kojic Publishing House, and chairman of the Constitution Committee for the General Assembly from 2015 to 21.
You possibly might wonder, where do the genuine and compelling ideas for future growth and development of our organization come from? It comes from places just like this. I'm here with Dr. Harold Bennett, Dean of the Mason Theological Seminary, for which I serve as the Board of Trustees Chairman. He and I in 2010 were sitting together at this particular table, sitting here talking about the need for a standardized ordination curriculum. Here is the book right now. The collaboration with our scholars, our mothers and fathers, pastors and elders, our bishops of the church. And I thank, of course, our great presiding bishop for his aid and assistance, and everybody that helped make this genuine article what it is today. We're glad to say that this is a part of our advancement, our strengthening the institution.
In a moment of great honor, Hall preached the inaugural address for Bishop G.E. Patterson in April 2009 and was consecrated as the prelate of Tennessee headquarters jurisdiction in 2011. In March 2021, he was elected to the General Board, solidifying his influence within the church. Bishop Hall's missions have taken him around the globe, spreading Kojic teachings and engaging in manual labor in South Africa, Brazil, Puerto Rico, Haiti, the Virgin Islands, Mexico, Israel, and Holland. He founded Life Together Inc., Ministerial Peace Fellowship, and the International Trustee Group. He established David Allen Hall Farms, advocating for Black and minority farmers. Hall's activism includes his role with the Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association and his presidential appointment to the Tennessee State Farm Committee, USDA, in 2020.
During the life of my grandfather, they would take food to the Holy Convocation. He and one of his brothers in the church in Kokomo, Indiana, Brother Beard, they would bring truckloads of food to feed the saints during that nearly month-long Holy Convocation period. When I was a child in my dad's church, 2 old brothers who came from Mississippi came into the Sunday school class where I was there as a student and announced they needed kids to work on the farm. I was the only one that raised my hand. And from the time I was 12 to about 15, I worked solidly 3 years off and on the farm. I learned to drive on the farm. I learned to plant. I learned to mend fences and patch roofs. I learned everything from the birth of hogs to the slaughter of hogs and smoking meat. I got farming in my blood. And so, as an adult, after my education and training in other disciplines, I went right back to what I knew. And I've grown as much as 4,000 acres of soybean and wheat. Had trucks, tractors, plows, the whole thing. I loved it, and I'll never, ever be rid of it. It's in the blood.
When it comes to Memphis, Tennessee, our Church of God in Christ Convocation was the first large Black, well-established convention that integrated all the hotels in Memphis. The history and the struggle of Black farmers is that. It is a history of struggle. We were given land after the Civil War from the rich landlords and plantation owners. And then after the Great Compromise in the 1870s, those things which were done through Reconstruction were taken back from us. We ministers are here to let you know that you are not alone in this. That the power of the black church, the integrity of the black preacher, the colleagues who have borne the heat and who have stood and resisted all types of imposition and threats and nullification over the years, that we are still on the line. We have not sold anybody out. We are on the line with you.
It became a natural for me to be a part of the black farmers litigation, with so many black people having their land taken from them, for them being denied financing so that they could actually buy equipment and crops to develop because of the lack of financing. Well, you know, when the lawsuit came, I said, that's for me, I want to help. Though I did not have a grievance nor a lawsuit, I was and served as the ecumenical advisor to the black farmer situation there in Tennessee. And I used my position as a clergyman to bring churches together and members from all of those churches across the denominational spread into the black farmers litigation. And today, many of them are now being paid, having been denied, having been cheated by loan institutions, discriminated against. They are now being paid. So I thank God for the part that I played as an ecumenical advisor. But I'm also a farmer. So you see, for me, it all comes together properly.
Since 1991, Hall has been the pastor of Temple Church of God in Christ, the historic congregation founded by Bishop Charles Harrison Mason in Memphis. Under his guidance, the congregation has flourished and will be celebrating its 125th year anniversary in 2025.
The General Board, being the third branch of government in the church, I consider it to be a committee of the whole, that when the General Assembly is not in session, the General Board, by Constitution, conducts the affairs of the church worldwide. And the General Assembly then, in April and November, can sanction, one way or the other, the decisions of the General Board. It being a committee of the whole, has the right to act, and the actions that it does must be voted up or down by the entire assembly. So here's certain things that the General Board can do. I believe that establishment of goals annually is important. The monitoring of policy, the approving of the budget that is then handled and hammered out by the General Assembly's trustees that they have elected, that the strategic planning is a part of the General Board function. Evaluation of leadership at every stop along the institution. The General Board has to have oversight and to look into that, and not merely leave that to people who have been put in position. This is a connectional church, and I want people to understand that. And it's the General Board that dictates that. Doctrinal reviews, we have to be fully in line with the doctrines and disciplines of this church. And we've got to know how to execute that whenever somebody comes along with something erroneous. Crisis management has to be done, and what organization does not have the need of crisis management? We are living in a difficult time now where you have the internet and virtual media, and people will dig into the workings of the church and then expose it to the world, making it that much more difficult for us to handle our business affairs privately and organizationally. I'd like the General Board to be bold and strong and to conduct these business affairs of this church and to conduct them in such a way that they can be seen and realized without impact from others. So these are just some of the things that the General Board does. And there are many, many more. And I could get into that as it has oversight of education, culture, expansion into the global world, the organization as it functions to service our many congregations and jurisdictions, you know, all of those things. There's so much work that the general board does.
So give me one reason why you should be on the general board.
I think that my skill set is made for these type situations. All that I've learned, what I bring to the table, I believe I bring to the table more than anybody with a sense of real integrity, because I've studied, I've developed, I've experienced all of this, even in my own nonprofits, where I'm currently building housing for seniors, where I'm conducting a situation where that the violence in Memphis and the gunplay has gotten so vicious that from the church, I've got an initiative through my nonprofit that people are now supporting to put an end to some of the senseless gunplay and violence.
The record speaks for itself. Bishop David Hall is currently a general board member, the chairman of the C.H. Mason Theological Seminary. He was the chief compiler of the standardized ordination curriculum, CEO of the publishing house, and a social justice advocate. Bishop David Hall's mandate is working to strengthen the institution.
I'm Bishop David Allen Hall, General Board incumbent, and I'm asking you for your vote.